Hey guys, today we're going to show you how to replace the feed roller on the Extractomat washer and dryer. Just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here. This is the feed roller. Comes all the way along down here to the other side. This is the roller that we're going to go ahead and replace today. What we're going to have to replace to get into this is we're going to have to take off that bearing right there back in behind the big pulley here that connects to the main drive. And on this side, even more fun, we get to take this sprocket off. Actually, we get to take this chain off and take the sprocket off, then we can get to the pulley. Okay, so this is a little bit of a complicated, it shouldn't take you too awfully long. I'm going to continue talking as I'm going through here to show you guys what's going on. Alright, step number one is we got to take the belt off, then we got to take the pulley off before we can actually take the nuts off of the Alright, to take the belt off, put a long thing in here, screwdriver, whatever, just pop it, the belt comes straight off. You need to loosen the set screws actually on the pulley here. Just for your information, this is an 8mm wrench. And it should come off with a little motivation. Make sure you got those set screws out far enough. She normally just comes off here with a little motivation. I mean, she gets stuck on here pretty good because this is the main power, the first pulley after the motor that all the machine mechanisms actually run through. So it gets on here pretty good, which is a good thing. If I had a pulley puller right this particular second, life would look much easier. I wouldn't look like such a fool. I'm grabbing a hold of the brush roller to keep it from turning, and I just worked the pulley off. So we'll save this, we're going to need it later. So now we've got the pulley off, and you can see the bearing that we have to take off here. This is the bearing that supports the feed roller that we showed to you before. This is a 13mm nut right here, and a 13mm bolt on the back. So grab yourself a combination of a 13mm wrench and a 13mm socket just to make things go a little bit quicker for you. removing both the nut and the washer on both sides. I would personally suggest that you try to leave the bolt actually in place. Not that you have to, but it makes things a whole lot simpler of putting the bearing back together again, or back on the machine, or your new bearing, or the new roller, if you don't actually take those out. Because if you take them out and you drop them inside the machine, hey, have yourself a magnet, just to make it work for you, right? Okay, I got both nuts and washers off, and the bearing just comes right straight off. I'm going to go ahead and leave it off there right now because we need to have it off in order to take the roller out. I am, however, going to leave the bolts actually in here, just for ease of putting it all back together again. So now, we're going to get a look at the other side of the machine. Ta-da! And it is the other side. So what we're going to need to do here is we need to take this chain off, and then we need to take the sprocket off, and then we take those nuts again off of that bearing, and take the bearing off, and then the whole shaft will just slide this direction, lift up, and pull right out. It's really easy then. So first thing we need to do is take off the chain. So if you guys are familiar with bicycle chains or whatnot, it's the same thing. It's got a lock key on here. You just need to shove it off a little bit, and it comes right off. Trying not to block your view too much here. This is the key that locks the key link. So once you got that off, you just take off the next piece here, put it aside, don't lose it, you're going to want it back, and then the whole link will actually just slide right out the back. Okay? And now the chain is broken, so we can just take the chain right off that sprocket. Next piece is actually going to be to take the sprocket itself off. And it's a metric size, but it's also a standard. It's a 5/32 standard. Metric it is, I forget off the top of my head, but I think it's like a number 6 or something. But it's a 5/32 standard. There's 2 set screws on this one. You have to, they're down there pretty good. So you have to take them all out, and the sprocket will come off. Great, so now we got the sprocket off, we got the chain off. We just need to take this bearing off, and then the shaft will come right straight out. It's the same thing as we did on the other side, since it's still 13 millimeter. Got my 13 millimeter wrench and my 13 millimeter socket. I use the wrench to hold the bolts. I use the socket to kind of spin the nuts off. Don't lose your washers. Okay, so now the bearing should come right straight out. Get your bearing, same bearing as it was on the other side. Now there's nothing really holding the feed roller actually in here. I'm going to turn this thing around a little bit so you get a better view of me taking it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide it one direction. We're going to slide it to the right, the side that had the chain on it. Slide it out this way, lift up on it this direction, and pull it straight out. So what we do is we push it this way, lift it up, pull it out. There's your feed roller. So leave your questions, your comments. If you got any, give me a call. Thanks.